So let's talk about how you encourage people to contribute to the community. We all know anytime you start a conversation, there's plenty of people who have nothing to say that are willing to jump in. How do you draw the lurkers in and get the people really interesting things to say, to speak? Kate, why don't you talk about the Quidget and how you do that?
Well, we do that simply by asking people why. Instead of putting the barrier to entry of a comment board, like I said, Hometown Baghdad, 3 million viewers, less than 1% of people commented, but we knew that people really wanted to be engaged. So we asked people why, and then they can build conversations based on people's opinions that are short and sweet, and then you can also engage with people directly one-on-one that isn't, left out for the world to tell you that you're stupid and you don't know what you're talking about. You're building relationships.
Very good. Okay, Erin.
Well, we are obviously working with a very small group of girls right now, but we actually have 30% of them commenting in some way right now. And I think that one of the reasons is that it's a very niche audience. Like, we chose girls that are avid readers and writers, and so this is something that they obviously love to do. And we also make it easy. Like, I think at every step you want to just allow them, if they want to write something, like show them. We seeded, when we opened the site up at first, we seeded all of the posts that we had with comments, so they had examples of how to do it, and they just followed along really easily. No one read our about page, like they all just watched other users. And then also it's really easy to favorite them, like it's easy to participate in some way, and I think that that's really key.
Okay, great. So another point, as Kate brought up, one thing that they created the Quidget for was to create tangible connections and relationships between people. They found out about this one instance of someone flying from San Francisco to Jordan, and they wanted to see a lot more of that through their platform. How important is that to the rest of you, to have your users not just interact with the site, but actually with each other and really create that community? James, why don't you start?
I think that this kind of goes back to one of the points I had up at the end there, that I think that everything that you see is going to become social. There's a great analyst named Jeremiah Ouyang who recently came out with a report called The 5 Eras of the Social Web, which I encourage you all to read, that I think is fascinating. It's his theory on how social activity is going to become pervasive across every single thing that you do on the web. And you see a lot of this with Facebook Connect and things like that that's just starting. Our approach with Gulliver, and I think it's interesting because it's slightly different perhaps to what Michael's doing, although I don't want to put words in his mouth, but is that my philosophy or hypothesis is that students won't do productive tasks on Facebook, but value social activity while doing a productive task. So that means for Gulliver, we've integrated with Facebook Connect. We've done a lot of other things around user activity to show you who else is interested in the study abroad programs you're looking at, which of your friends are also studying abroad. And we thought about putting all of this on Facebook and said, no, I don't think that students are going to go through the laborious multi-month process of planning a trip and picking a study abroad program on their fundamentally social platform, but they still want a community around this productive task. But I'd be interested to know if you completely disagree with me.
By the way, for those in the back, is it helpful if we stand up? Because I see that some of you are like, trying. I'm done with my coffee, so I might as well. So let's see. What were we talking about? So our first product was actually replaced the feature on Facebook called Courses, right? So how many of you were on Facebook like in college, like 4 years ago-ish, right? So there was a Courses feature where you could just go and figure out who the cute girl was that you were sitting next to or something. And we replaced that, and originally we were kind of exploring a learning management system model. And we found that users just were largely uninterested in doing anything, using any productivity tools or doing any sort of learning management within the Facebook environment, right? That doesn't mean that there wasn't lots of opportunities for kind of peer-to-peer interaction, social relationships within our application, and that can happen within either the academic or campus life context. So we're really taking advantage of that right now and avoiding learning management or productivity tools pretty much altogether. And I have found this, when I talk to people across the board, if you're doing something that is a destination site, which is like if you're planning a study abroad trip, do not put it in a non-destination platform like Facebook, right? People go to Facebook because they don't know what else they're doing with their time, right? Like they're like, what am I going to do for the next 15 minutes? And then they go, I don't know, and then they log into Facebook, and then they just poke around, and then an hour and a half has passed by, and then their boss is mad at them. So, right, so Facebook is a non-destination site, so if you're going to build a destination, don't put it in a non-destination like platform, or don't try to pretend it's a non-destination, right? So, yeah, I would back up what James is saying for sure. Yeah.
I'd say if you have a content-based site, you can think about ways users might uniquely interact around that content that they couldn't do elsewhere, because they do have Facebook where they're having their primary social interactions. But like in Unigo's case, I grew up in Staten Island and I went to Wesleyan University, and no one else in my high school was interested in Wesleyan. So my Facebook friend set might offer no one that I can speak with to make this really compelling life decision. So on Unigo, you can find other high school students that are looking at the same schools you are. You can see within each college how many students from your high school are interested, how many from your city are interested, how many students from your high school go to that college if they're also on the site, and how many from your city go to that college if they're also on the site, so you can interact with them around that. So, and we also do kind of that further thing. You can say, I want to see what students like me, I want to see what other left-wing students from Staten Island who are current college students, what do they think about these schools? So I just say think about what content you offer on your site, and then try to add value-add interactions, not just pure social for the sake of being social, but how can you enhance the value of this content by encouraging conversation?
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to add. If there's a purpose to our product, it's to accelerate the sense of belonging that someone can have at their institution, or the institution that they're thinking about going to. And you absolutely have to do that by uncovering potential relationships that they might have. And one thing that the social web has been proving over the past 5 years, and I think if we would have stopped when the internet was starting to come to fruition and said, what do people really care about in their lives? And we would have thought to ourselves, gee, they really care about their friends and family and their peers and their social relationships and how to create connections with others. And it's actually kind of amazing that it took so long to get there and have products that actually do that. But now that we've started to hit the nail on the head with a few big examples like Twitter and Facebook, you definitely have to figure out how your product can uncover social relationships or have people meet each other that have mutual interests, etc.